If you make a mistake, we all make mistakes, right? But if you make a mistake and you hold on to it and you own it, that's probably not the best thing emotionally. Owning it, like, hey, I made the mistake and I'm going to fix it, thumbs up, right? That's good.
Rehan School started off around 10 years ago in my head. I came to Singularity University and I saw what it is, and I have always wanted people to do. Humans in our religion are supposed to be the being, right? So the most superior being among all the beings, and we're supposed to take care of the most being as we can. And I don't like people who are mediocre. Like, it's not like I don't like them, I just think them there's no reason to be mediocre. Everybody, there's enough abundance on the planet for everybody to live well, eat well, be well. I just had an idea that there should be a school where you can think big and do big stuff. So I tried and I failed, and I bought a school again a couple of years ago, maybe 3 years ago, and then I was in technology space, so I was being called to come and give lectures to schools and kids and everything, and I didn't like that they were not using the internet, they were not using YouTube, they were not using videos for learning rather than books, because a book is only helping you create imagination, but a multimedia book would be having a voice, having emotions. You cry when you watch a good movie, right? So it really goes inside your head. So you memorize stuff. So I was telling all this stuff to people, and everybody loved it, but nobody did anything about it. So one of the problems I want to solve is, why can't we have a school that creates leadership by design, not by accident?
Right.
It seems that we know how to create doctors, we know how to make dentists, we know how to make engineers, we don't know how to make leaders.
Right.
So I have not seen a school which would be designed for leadership. So hi everyone, I'm here with Sarah Lee, MBA.
You're already recording?
Yes, and I'm just catching up, and we know each other maybe at least a decade, but we're only meeting in person after like 6-7 years. Sarah is a very outgoing person. She's I don't think she likes a normal life. She likes to do things different. Maybe it's her journey, we don't know. So we're just gonna catch up. And before we started, she was telling that during COVID, they started a new company which does something for the education sector, which is what?
Yes.
Hi.
So, hello. So we started a company that focuses on financial literacy, specifically we originally thought it was going to be for adults, but it turned out that we focus mostly on kids. We built a cartoon town. So we built something for really little kids because we were thinking if we were going to change the world.
What's a cartoon town?
A cartoon town, we build stories for children.
It's like a physical town?
Yeah, the town's called Money Mentorville.
Like there's a physical space, or is it
No, although
metaverse?
weirdly, the kids actually want that. Okay. The kids actually are asking for a physical space to go to, which has been very interesting. But we started out thinking we needed a main character to teach the kids.
Financial literacy
And self-esteem, goal setting, that kind of thing. And so my husband, in his genius, working at Disney and Lucas for 25 years, said we need a main character to drive the stories. And he said, maybe we need a piggy bank. And I said, no, we don't. We need a guinea piggy bank. So we created a guinea piggy bank who has a whole backstory and has fur, and the kids like to think of a guinea pig, right? Touching it, playing with it, that kind of thing. And we just got a distributor, and we will be in 52 countries here soon.
So it's a storybook series, it's a video series?
It's a video series, short stories for the little kids. So kids ages 0 to 5. It's cartoons, little tales, little fables.
Another Mickey Mouse on the way?
Kind of like a Mickey Mouse type thing, except for there's regular characters. There's the characters actually grow with the kids. So there's a small kids version, meaning 0 to 5. There's also a school age, 5 to 10, and then there's junior high, and then a high school version. The high school version is 75 hours. It's a full semester program.
Nice. What do they teach?
High school is all kinds of fun things. How to balance a checkbook, what a checkbook is, why you would balance it, how would you like to buy or lease a car, how do taxes work.
That's a cartoon. So if I watch a cartoon,
those are not cartoons. Those are regular
lectures.
like this. Yeah, lectures and short form content that the school can use to actually tell their own content.
Right.
And then there's a software platform attached to that, so that people can actually go in and
test.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's very exciting. It wasn't what I expected. I mean, I've been teaching financial literacy for 22 years prior to that. So, but I started to realize that when I talk to adults about their financial literacy, most people were not very financially literate. They weren't business literate. And to get them to make a decision was difficult because they didn't know if I was telling the truth. They didn't know if I was tricking them.
Yeah.
Right? They didn't have any way to guide themselves. And I thought, if I really wanted to solve this problem, and it wasn't about money, I would start with kids. And 20 years from now, I may not be doing this anymore, but
Problem will be solved.
But the problem will be solved for the next generation.
Amazing. So for people like me who don't know what is financial literacy, tell me what's financial literacy.
Yes. So financial literacy in its purest form is having the education to make good and valuable decisions financially for your life.
Okay.
So a lot of people think it's
very
math.
simple. Okay. But it's not.
No.
Okay. And would it be different in every state, every country? Because the mechanics, like for example, I cannot lease a car in Pakistan. I cannot mortgage a house in Pakistan. It's totally different.
Yes. So the parts that are the same everywhere, for example, is the math, right? The math is the same, but the individual ways that you might execute it are different. But if you understand what some of the words mean, vocabulary is an important part of our program.
Right.
We also have self-esteem, confidence in your decision-making, sharing.
Associated to the
Associated to the program, yes. Because if you don't know how to make a decision, we can give you all the tools you want, then it'll be like a pile of ladders, right? Yeah. So we wanted to make sure people felt comfortable.
So for those who don't know what is self-esteem,
yes.
What is it?
Self-esteem, from my point of view, is keeping your commitments to yourself. Understanding how to make a decision and continue down a path. And to be courageous in your decision making.
Very interesting. Yeah. Different definition than I would have thought. And what is confidence?
Confidence.
Is it self-confidence you teach, or is it just confidence?
Confidence is a part of that. I think keeping your word to yourself, making mistakes and getting past the mistakes gives you confidence. Understanding that confidence and failure are related. So failure, a lot of times people say failure is bad, but from our perspective, failure is part of learning and part of getting past the failure and understanding, learning from the failure, right? If you make a mistake, we all make mistakes, right? But if you make a mistake and you hold on to it and you own it, that's probably not the best thing emotionally. Owning it, like, hey, I made the mistake and I'm gonna fix it, thumbs up, right? That's good. But owning it and holding it in your soul and thinking, oh my gosh, there might be something, I'm a bad person, there might be something wrong with me, I should have known. That takes people down a spiral that I don't think is necessary, and it's probably not healthy. So
how do you fix that?
From our perspective, making people aware of it is the first step, making them aware of the fact that there's a different way to think about that, educating them on growth and growth mindset. So if you constantly think it's not safe to make mistakes, you're not going to also take any risks. You're never going to invent anything. One of the things that I teach in leadership is that leadership, if you're part of the whole, intrinsically the leader is outside of the circle.
One more time.
if most people want to be in the group, right? They want to be in the circle. They want to be in the place where everyone is. But if you want to be an innovator, if you want to invent something, if you want to be a leader, intrinsically, you're outside of the circle. You have to be outside of the circle to lead the pack. You can be in the back, you can be in the front, but you can't be in the pack having their same mindset, because you're not going to be able to invent anything that way. You're not going to be innovative in that mindset. So some of what we're doing is building that confidence in children when they're young, so that they're less afraid to make mistakes, and so they're more inclined to test things in a safe way.
So financial literacy, confidence, self-esteem.
Decision making, sharing. Think of it like life skills, family values, things like that. We have a whole series for the little kids where Nona is teaching lessons. She's cooking. She's
Nona's
the grandma.
Oh.
She's a grandma for the Money Mentorville cartoons, but she teaches the kids family values. And so there's a certain amount of stories where Nona explains why you clean up your room, for example, why you need discipline in life, why you shouldn't be dishonest, those kinds of things. Why you shouldn't be lazy, because kids sometimes don't see the value of completing tasks. So
Seems like I need to take this course.
I think actually it's funny, but I think a lot of adults would benefit from it. And so to your point, each state does have certain requirements that are slightly different in the United States, but not majorly different. So one might have an emphasis on understanding like car buying versus leasing, right? The economics of that, what's factoring, this kind of thing, which I think is a pretty sophisticated concept that most adults don't know, much less kids, right? Children don't know those concepts.
How should I spend?
I don't know. I just was asking.
Yeah.
Is your mother still alive? Did you?
She doesn't like if I wish her on Mother's Day.
Mm.
She wants to be against the Western world.
Oh, so is she not happy you're here?
She doesn't live here.
Yeah, but I mean, is she not happy you're here? Does she have an opinion about that?
She doesn't like it here at all.
Yeah.
She has her whole family lives in Houston.
Oh, okay.
And still she doesn't like it. I mean, she came just now for the family.
Yeah.
But she doesn't. I mean, none of these people who live here want to leave, but they also don't like it. It's like the human condition, I think. Everybody doesn't like what we have, but we don't want to leave it. We're like too comfortable with it.
You know what's funny? San Francisco's definitely been rough since COVID, but to your point, it's kind of home, right? If you're used to it, you're used to your restaurants, your places. Yeah, people don't like to change.
Yeah. If you're happy, you're happy.
Yes.
But one thing, if I moved here, I think I'll be dedicating a couple of hours a day or some money for the homelessness. I can't stand it.
Yes.
And I think it's like trash in our country. People don't see it anymore. Here, I don't think you guys even see it anymore. It's like there. It is what it is.
I think we definitely see it. We're not sure what to do about it.
And you accept it. So accepting something is like, it is what it is. You know?
Yes.
What can I do? I'm this person. I can't do anything.
To your point, I have a nonprofit, and so I want to put some of the money from our company into food banks and other things like you. But yeah, not everyone thinks like that.
Yeah, but there's like a gazillion organizations here trying to do something about it, and yet it's not solved. And
It's not organized.
I
That's
think
part of it.
I think what it is. So the only thing I would probably start doing is, showing up, doing a podcast with them, introducing to the other people. Basically, I think they're all not using social media. They're not using technology enough. They're not connecting to each other.
Right.
And they're just like everything else is just not fixing because it's in its own bubble.
Right.
And then it just doesn't get fixed because you can't fix everything yourself. You have to have people with you to fix everything. Yeah.
I just had a conversation with someone about homelessness in general, specifically homelessness in Las Vegas, because they have a similar problem because the weather can be nicer there, right? And at least in California, which has most of the homeless people in the United States, meaning I don't know if you know this, but most of the homeless people in the United States live in California because of the weather. So they migrate from everywhere and come here. So we have the financial burden of homeless people as a whole. And Reagan, back in the 80s, decided to decriminalize homelessness and insanity on the streets. So before that, in California, they were able to take someone to a hospital and actually commit them, but then help them, give them mental health help, and then take care of that. When they decriminalized that, and I'm not saying homelessness should be criminalized, I'm saying when they made a law saying we can't do that anymore, homeless people can just run free, we stopped funding it. And we stopped making it a medical decision on whether somebody should be allowed to, run free. And when we stopped that, that's what we got. We got what we have now, which is people that probably need help mixed in with people that definitely need help. And there's no real way to help people if you can't legally take them someplace to help them. Right? Meaning when we said it's no longer a doctor's responsibility to say whether that person should be able to be free, which I understand the politics of it, but the problem is now we have what we have, which is people are running free, killing themselves with fentanyl, doing all kinds of drugs, creating a town of their own in the Tenderloin, and that's very hard to undo that. I mean, what do you do now?
Why did he decriminalize it?
Political pressure. I hate to say it, it's kind of like why he started creating credits for outsourcing, because when he became president, that he was the one who actually started that. And there's people that say, well, he didn't do it. It was who was handling him that told him to be the voice for that. So maybe it's mysterious who actually came up with the idea. But the concept was, the political pressure was, oh, it's wrong. People should have their rights to basically not be policed that way, not be picked up by the police, not like, hey, now I think they can only do a 72-hour hold, where they used to be able to say they could put you in a treatment center for a month and see how you performed, which would actually help some of the people. You can't really do that now. They were able to put them in places where they could retrain them, right, for jobs. Single mothers who are who are homeless with their children, there were more programs back then for that. Now there's just a bunch of money that goes to nonprofits and it's disorganized. And so without a central way to organize it, like the government, yeah. And so Republicans as a whole, that's what they usually sell. They sell small government. They say, hey, laissez-faire, you can do what you want to do. And people that are in business say, I want less business, government interference in my business. So it really started as a capitalism idea, but it's gone into social issues. And I think a lot of people in the United States now are going, why don't we fix that? And I was like, we used to do it just fine, right? We had a policy that worked, but as we thought capitalism was more important than people, and that money was more important than people, that's what we decided to do. And and then I think people now are saying that didn't really work out completely the way we thought it would. Right?
It is what it is.
You live and you learn, yes.
Okay, so I think your program is amazing, and
Thank you.
I would love to implement it in our school, depending on the costs associated to it. It sounds very crucial for people to use and our students to use, and I think it'll be very beneficial for them. So
yeah, we'd love to.
Whenever it's ready,
yeah.
I'll give you some students, you can start, and whatever deal we can work out, that'll be wonderful.
Yeah, it's ready, and we would love to work with you, and I'll make sure that it works economically.
Yeah.
For everyone.
So I'll tell you a little bit about what I'm doing.
Yes, please tell me. So tell me about Rehan School in Silicon Valley.
Right. So Rehan School started off around 10 years ago in my head. I came to Singularity University and I saw what it is, and I have always wanted people to do. Humans in our religion are supposed to be the being, right? So the most superior being among all the beings, and we're supposed to take care of the most being as we can. And I don't like people who are mediocre. Like, it's not like I don't like them, I just think them there's no reason to be mediocre. There's enough abundance on the planet for everybody to live well, eat well, be well. I just had an idea that there should be a school where you can think big and do big stuff. So I tried and I failed, and I bought a school again a couple of years ago, maybe 3 years ago, and then I was in technology space, so I was being called to come and give lectures to schools and kids and everything, and I didn't like that they were not using the internet, they were not using YouTube, they were not using videos for learning rather than books, because a book is only helping you create imagination, but a multimedia book would be having a voice, having emotions. You cry when you watch a good movie, right? So it really goes inside your head. So you memorize stuff. So I was telling all this stuff to people, and everybody loved it, but nobody did anything about it. So a couple of years ago, I started an adult financial literacy program where I was educating people to earn at least $500 a month. Our per capita is only $100 a month. $100 doesn't go very long. And the fuel is the same price, the food is the same price, everything's the same price like here. And you make $100 a month, it's really kind of weird. How do you live there?
Right.
So I started educating people that they should make at least $500 a month. And I created a curriculum, I started teaching, and people showed up, they paid me like $10, and they didn't even attend in the full classes, like 6 months course. They would come for like 2 times a week, and they were not punctual. I couldn't do much with
Did that
with
disappoint
them.
you?
So it was early. I tried it for 2.5 years, but then that same curriculum went to I also had a school parallel, which I bought, and I wanted to do something with it, and I actually at one point almost gave it away. But this curriculum also migrated itself to the school.
Okay.
And then I introduced computers, internet. I asked everybody to get on Facebook, get on social media, and I got a lot of retaliation from the team, from the school team. They don't use social media. They thought internet as evil. So it took me a year and a half just to get started. And then things move forward, and so this is how I started. And then I wanted to take the time, 3 hours extra outside the schooling, to give them the internet, robotics, and other stuff, which is like everybody else does in the world, right? They want to introduce computers to the kids.
Right.
I wanted to do the same, like which was happening here, but I wanted to do in Pakistan. So that's how I started. I didn't know that what it will become. And the same intention that the kids should be able to earn also $100 a month, $500 a month also went to the kids. And the kids were more excited than the adults. And somehow the parents started bringing me their kids there. Okay, we don't want to learn it, but here you go, here's my child, make him earn $500 a month.
Right.
Now, I thought it'll take like 6 months to do that. And I had no idea that humans are not as fast as I thought they were. So now we have broken it into a 4-year program that we will get you from zero, where you don't even know how to use a computer, to earning $500 a month in 4 years' time. But we guaranteed that we will get you there in 4 years' time.
What did they do with the money?
It's not even, we haven't reached there yet.
Okay.
So now, as I kept doing, I kept pivoting, and here are certain problems which I was seeing in my country. 30 million students don't go to any school.
Okay.
Around 100 million students go to a school which charges less than $5 a month.
Okay.
Which means if you're paying less than $5 a month, you are getting a teacher which is getting paid maybe $25 a month. The school doesn't have electricity all the time. There's no playground. There's no computer lab. There's no.
Right.
It's a very broken infrastructure. So you're talking about 130 million students not being taken advantage of. The computers, the internet, the AI, the compute is not being used, the internet is not being used, and the AI is not being used. The second problem is we don't have people, like in this country, you have two 80-year-old human beings fighting over elections. I don't like that. I think there are smarter people in this country.
Right.
So one of the problems I want to solve is, why can't we have a school that creates leadership by design, not by accident?
Right.
It seems that we know how to create doctors, we know how to make dentists, we know how to make engineers, we don't know how to make leaders.
Right.
So I have not seen a school which would be designed for leadership.
Right.
Now what is a leadership? A leader is a person normally who acts, as you said, outside the circle. He or she takes responsibility that I will do this.
Mm-hmm.
And third is that you do it, and then sometimes impact comes also. So in our school, we now have created this curriculum which is 8 years long. Since ChatGPT came, we took out all the science and maths and algebra out of the school. We took it out. And our focus is now primarily on leadership and earning and being a good human being.
Okay.
And it's a model where whatever you earn, 50% goes to the school, 50% goes to you.
Okay.
So when it works, other schools can copy this. Instead of making $5 a month, they can start making $100 a month, which means that the whole ecosystem of education starts to change within itself. Mm-hmm. And self-destruct, self-grow, self-evolve. And at the same time, the child is becoming a global citizen, and I'll show you how. The child is evolving faster, taking advantage of the energy they have. Like, if you talk to a 17-year-old, 15-year-old, 12-year-old and ask them, even at midnight, are you tired? They will say, no, we're not tired.
Right.
There's this machine in their body that doesn't get tired. I get tired all the time.
Right.
And these kids just don't get tired. I thought I wanted 3 hours a day, now I want 12 hours a day because they just don't get tired. They don't get tired learning, they don't get tired working, they don't get tired. As long as they're enjoying it, they just don't get tired.
Right.
So I'm having fun of my life doing this because I can get so much done, and the adults would not do anything. Like ROI there was at 1%, here is like 60, 70%, 50% to 70%. It's amazing. So my primary job is to create a curriculum which will, they will come in a year's time, they will take advantage of the computer, the AI, the internet, then they could become good at this stuff. In year 6 or second grade of ours, we introduce them to a concept of a wala or a smith. What that means is we have selected 120 problems of the world which are being faced with over 100 million people, 10 to 100 million people. And then we say, hey, Sarah Lee MBA, I want you to become Sarah Lee Leadership Smith because that's what your purpose of life is. And as the Leadership Smith, your job at the school to learn would be leadership and teach leadership at the same time, because the best way to learn anything is to teach it.
Yes.
So how do we teach it? We request you to watch a TED Talk about leadership every single day.
Okay.
Then you explain that TED Talk in your own language and in English and post it on the internet.
Do they write it up or verbally?
Verbally, video.
Okay.
And then you tag the person who gave that TED Talk. And then you request them for a podcast. So you do this 200 times a year. You watch 200 TED Talks about leadership in the year 6 of your high school, of your middle school, and you're watching a TED Talk every day on leadership. You're making a video about TED Talk every day. You're doing a podcast on leadership every day. You are talking to an AI half an hour a day about leadership every day. Then you clean up the school so that you don't create a mess. You know that you have to clean it.
Right.
You do yoga, you do meditation every day, and then you start 3 hours a day an internship with another human being anywhere on the planet online. We don't encourage physical because there's girls involved, boys involved. I don't want to get into some other kind of mess. So on the internet, the maximum is they press the block button. It's really, really easy. Physical abuse is not there.
Right, that's brilliant.
In 7th grade, they start doing online conferences about leadership, and they have to start traveling. So by that 7th grade, they're earning $200 a month using that internship money. Then they use that money to travel the country. Within the country, they have to go to 2 destinations with a team to travel, to open up their heads, because if they have not traveled, they have not really seen anything. And then in 8th grade, they do a physical conference, and it may be possible 2 physical conferences within the school of the same subject. And then they travel outside the country using the same money they've earned from the school.
Okay.
They keep doing this in 8th grade, and then they start a startup in 9th grade, which is around leadership.
Okay.
Because they have been studying leadership, they have done hundreds of podcasts about leadership, they know a lot about leadership, they're writing books about leadership in 7th grade already. And
you're kind of giving them a purpose.
It is their purpose. So the destination in the 12th grade is that you need to do an exit. You need to start a startup which will impact 1 million people. You need to exit that startup for at least $1 million.
Okay.
And you get yourself in a Guinness Book of World Record. We help you get there in some category. So you become, you get money, fame, and impact. So that's what the 3 purposes are normally humans want. They either want money, they either want impact, or they want recognition. So they get all 3 tied up within the package.
Right. So
far, this is the Rehan School. And then after you do all this, we help you get a GED degree, which is basically 4 exams. And I believe that if anybody can do all this, passing a GED will be like a piece of cake.
Yes.
So that's not really even my emphasis to teach them or to score or all that stuff, because it's like this is far beyond anybody at the school is even trying. Like everybody who I tell this, they're like baffled by the goal, because it's like it's too far out. And I keep telling them, look, going to Mars is not easy.
Yes.
And this is worth trying. And if I fail, somebody else will come and make it happen, because we have the compute. We have, in 5 years' time, how much powerful would be our AI?
Yes.
We have the internet everywhere, and we're not taking advantage. And you're saying it's hard. I don't think it's hard at all. So to me, it's really, really easy, because I've seen startups doing certain kind of things, but the only time they fail is when they accept the failure and they just stop trying. If they just tried another couple of years and they didn't had to have the money, we're avoiding the startup money, the seed money, we're avoiding, because they're like kids. Mothers taking care of them, fathers taking care of them, society's taking care of them. Before 18 to 20, nobody's asking them for money. So we're training them without even, they're needing the startup capital, they're needing the, one of the most important things, the hormones interacting with them, blocking their heads, not letting them work. By the time you're 20, 21, you need a house, you need a woman, you need a partner. All this stuff is going on, and I'm trying to do this before all this even kicks in.
Right.
So that's the idea.
It's so good. It's so good what you're doing, and I'm sure you can mentor me and help me even expand my thought process on this, but it sounds like we're a very similar thought process in some ways, in the sense that so many people know that the school system is broken, know that the education system is broken, know that the world is global now, right? People need to know what to do with money. They need to know how money works, right? But there hasn't been a lot of innovation in this area.
Yeah.
I mean, public school system in the United States was started in San Francisco. Most people don't know that. I can even point out the building on Van Ness and show you what it looks like. But that idea of public education has gone very far from what I think it originally was started to do. And you may or may not know this, and I don't think you need to know this, but in the 30s, there was a lot of discussion now about how Rockefeller said he got involved with the school system. I mean, the public school system was started in the late 1800s. There was originally a school in the 1700s here, but in the 1930s, he was like, I don't want people to learn these skills. And so it has been said, whether he paid, lobbied, or whatever he did, right, said we should change the curriculum in public schools in the United States so that people start to understand that they're going to be factory workers, so they don't innovate, so they know how to show up to a job, work a job, 9 to 5, put a structure in. We want to eliminate thinking, so all we want them to do is regurgitate.
Yeah.
And so that's not very healthy for our world, our planet, and it's not healthy for people from a psychological point of view, meaning people like as you said, they like growth. Yeah. People need contribution to be mentally healthy and significance. And you said that in a different way, but Tony Robbins teaches that. I don't know if you're a fan of his or not, but I've worked for him for a number of years, and that's kind of his primary platform before he gets into any of his advice and coaching. And he's known worldwide, right, for helping people shift out of that mindset. And so I think you're definitely onto something. Meaning you're the Tony Robbins of Pakistan. It sounds like, in a way, because the only way to affect people is, like you said, to meet those needs. Yeah. And so if they don't have growth, people get very unhappy and get internal. If people don't have a way to contribute to society, they get very unhappy and get internal. If they don't have a way to get significance, they create it with hairdos and outfits and crazy behavior and all the crazy things that we have, which is fine to experiment with, but not great for long term when you get stuck in that. Like, I see a lot of adults that are stuck in a childish, right? Not childlike, which I think is fine, but childish behavior or childish mindset, or have an entitlement mentality. And I think a lot of that comes from getting stuck. They were like, well, I did this in school and I was supposed to get something when I got done. And that isn't the way the world works, as you know. So teaching entrepreneurship like you do is amazing. I think it's the next step of what I'm hoping to do, and in fact, I don't want to do it. So meaning I partner with you, or we partner together, I think we could be even stronger. Yeah, because you're the other piece of the puzzle. The other thing that you made me think about is that most people don't know this, but when you get into the details of financial literacy, which I usually try not to give too many crazy ideas because people aren't mentally there to receive them, but most people don't know that I have a 5-minute how to become a millionaire class. It's literally, I can teach you in 5 minutes and I'll give you the gist of it.
It'll take 5 minutes.
I'll give you the gist of it right now.
No, it'll take 5 minutes.
Is that any person who starts putting away, so think of it this way, financial wealth comes from a couple different things. It certainly comes from skills, mindset, all of those things that we're talking about. But the other component is time, which you did kind of get into. So the time value of money is a very important concept. It's in my program. And the reason I teach that is not because I want people to be an expert at the time value of money, but I want people to understand two things. I want them to understand the impact of interest rates. So if they borrow money, that they don't get into debt that they can't get out of. If you use something called the rule of 72, you take the interest rate divided into 72, you get the amount of time it will take for money to double. So if you're paying 20% on a credit card or 25%, that thing you bought doubles in cost every 3 years. So you should be very careful when you buy something on a credit card, right? And that awareness doesn't change everyone's behavior, but it does change some people's behavior because that's not commonly known or understood. What also makes it interesting, you work it the other way, and if you take a 20-year-old and you want a 20-year-old to be a millionaire, if they put away $236 a month, which is actually doable with your program because you're teaching them how to earn, they will be a millionaire if they only put away $236, meaning the amount never has to increase. And within 30 or 40 years, with say 10% interest, which is doable in depending on where you put the money, anyone can become a millionaire. That one idea blows people's mind because they go, what do you mean? I think that's an unreachable goal for me, right? And in India, Pakistan, whatever, right? Lots of countries have African countries, even the United States. People don't know these things. And so they think that it's out of reach to be a person of means, right? To have that kind of money. And it's actually doable for most people. Now, how things are changing economically, maybe it won't be, but I think that's something worth considering and teaching in your school because it's so valuable to understand that, because it's not just how to build the startup, but how to put money away in a safe place for a rainy day and so they can live, right? Because startups are risky, and sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. Sometimes someone buys, sometimes they don't. But if they knew where to put money and grow that money and how simple that could be, that also can change the world. Because the tenet of what we're trying to teach is, if I teach people to be financial literate, I believe that people are smart. I think they're ambitious on their own, with people like you helping, right, of course. But they will create the new world. If we don't give them the tools, we have no chance, in my opinion. Like, a lot of people talk about that, right? They talk about, oh my God, where's the world going? We don't have any leadership, right? Real leadership. And I think you and I are both very interested in that idea of demonstrating leadership, but also giving people an actual pathway to become effective. Because so many people talk about that and then they go, yeah, but I don't have any idea how to do it, right? And I'm not laughing at that. I'm saying that's unfortunate that people can have awareness of the problem, but not many people have come up with decent solutions.
Yeah.
So I think you and I are very much on the same page. And then to your point, your other point, I partnered just recently with a software company that I can create interactive tests, interactive content, and it's a node-based system, right? So instead of it being just videos that people are watching, it can ask you yes or no questions in the content. How old are you? Do you know these subjects? So if they already know XYZ, we can start in the middle. And then it basically goes, right, like a decision tree, here, there, or that. And it's, from what I know, the only one of its kind. And that software is also available in many countries. I mean, it's working in many countries, meaning it works on different types of internet. And I'm not a technology expert compared to you, so hopefully I'm saying that the right way. But the point is that that took some skill to create and to maintain. And it's about a $100 million company. So I mean, it's been in existence about 25 years. I didn't come up with that. But I do partner with them and have built content to support my program. And that could be another thing that we discuss, if that was effective. Because having that repetition, having that accountability helps people learn, because a static learning management system doesn't, I mean, not that it's bad, it's been the best we've had, right? But something that's more interactive, where you can say in a math problem, what's the answer to this? And actually have a box where they have to fill in the blank, right? That kind of technology is very valuable when someone's learning a new skill. And then, people can look and see, like you said, who is logged in, who hasn't logged in, right? Who's trying, who's not trying? Where are they getting stuck? Because we need to be able to automate that. It's hard for schools to manage. The teachers don't have the bandwidth to understand, is this kid not engaged or do they have a learning disability, right? Do they, are they on the spectrum, right? Everyone just goes in the pile of the spectrum because they don't know what to do. But a lot of people that are neurodivergent aren't on the spectrum or are perfectly functional, right? Some people are actually higher IQ. They're more intelligent than someone else. So we've kind of mushed all those people in a special needs box. But I don't know if you know this, but in the United States, if you have a high IQ, that's considered a special needs, meaning people that are neurodivergent or that have special needs learning, but also high IQ is special needs. That to me is bizarre. What do you mean? So you just lump them in? How frustrating for both sides of that, right? So that's not an effective way to teach people how to learn and how to be effective in the world and how to be a leader. Yeah. Right? So I think these things, if we don't start addressing them, I think that where are we going to go?
So one of the things is that what I'm doing, I think I want to do it in a very certain way and prove myself right or wrong. And I take on people and I get them to sign, or release like this is it, and they accept me as a teacher. It's like a gurukul. I don't know if you know what that is. A gurukul is in a school where there's one teacher and he or she says whatever goes.
Yes.
And this is how it used to be in the past. And when I'm done with this process, which is in my head, it's like a download in my head, and I want to execute it rather than experiment with it anymore, because I spent most of my early life before this only learning. I was always listening, always quiet, always observing, and I was always suggesting. And right now I'm not in a mode of suggesting anyone. I'm saying like, look, this is it, either you take it or you leave. The reason is because I have failed enough times to understand many aspects of life. And I'm not saying I know everything. I know definitely nothing. But I do know that what I'm trying to do is worth trying.
Yes.
And my goal is only to get 1,000 students to do this and achieve the goal. And when we do that, then the outcome of all that would create. I think in order, like for example, if when you want to go to Mars or you want to go to the moon, only 3 people went, and in order to get there, you had to invent many tools to make those 3 people happen.
Yes.
And you don't diverge from that goal because this is the only goal right now. It's no longer nothing else. What do we do once we go to the moon? We don't know what we do once we go to the moon. What do we do once we go to Mars? We don't know what we go to the moon. We have an idea, but we don't really know because we don't know what will happen.
Yes.
So similarly, for me, this is also like going to the moon, going to the Mars. I want to make this happen 1,000 times because then I will know exactly how it's done, how it should be done, what am I doing wrong, and there will be a process. And it's not, I don't think this is a mass education program. I think it's a education program. And just like when Google started and they didn't know they will be making Google Maps, they didn't know they will be making Gmail, they didn't know they will be making all these things, or cars for that matter. But the intention was something else, but there's always something else that comes along.
Right.
There's a creator somewhere who has other intentions which we don't know.
Yes.
And the puzzle of life is to find those little gifts. When we walk the path appears.
Yes.
So my interest right now is to, because everybody comes to me, a lot of people come to me that here's an idea, this is how you should do it. Like, look, if you have an idea how to do it, please do it. I'll help you. But if you want me to do something, I'm sorry. I'm putting my own blood, money, sweat, everything. I don't want any suggestions.
You have your own baby to take care of. Yes.
It's exactly like baby.
Yes.
And I don't want your idea on how it should be done. Once it's done, you're more than welcome to come in and advise me. And I might make a mistake, but I'm my biggest critique and enemy myself. I'm constantly surgery, doing and taking stuff and removing stuff, but everything is I know that because of AI, every 2 years, everything will change.
Yes.
And I feel that I was designed kind of, when I was younger, I used to say that it's easier to be a doctor than an IT person, because an IT person has to reinvent himself or herself every 3-4 years. Like, you don't know anything anymore.
Yes.
Like, who are you?
Yes.
Everything's gone. So we don't really know how the world will look like in 5 years.
Yes.
But this is the best I know, is to, when I say people that I'm designing a school for a post-AI era. And in a post-AI era, anything which can be done by AI, we're leaving it out. So I know for sure that we will have movies automatically created in an instant. We will have stories created instant. We will have customized movies, just like ChatGPT tells stories.
Right.
Very soon we will have compute to see videos, movies, 3D VRs around what we want to learn. So for example, if you watch Star Trek, there was this room, you go in and there is this room which you had in your mind, and it's already there and you can interact with the room.
Right.
So all those things will happen. When will they happen? Maybe in 3 years, maybe 5 years, maybe 10 years. So I have taken out the stuff which we needed for memorization or the past stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm only saying, like, the most important thing we have lost is communication.
Yes.
We don't have humans talking to each other anymore as much. Nobody has time.
Right.
Kids have time. Let's make them talk to each other. Let's have 1,000 Israelis talk to 1,000 Palestinians every day and put it on the internet. Let's have Ukrainians and Russians talk. Have Indians and Pakistanis talk. Why isn't this happening?
Right.
So this school is also trying to make that happen, that communication. Like, there is no need to think that we live in a country. Every country now uses the same phone,
yes,
same operating system, same compute, same internet. We're not taking advantage. We think, oh, I live in San Francisco. Oh, I live in Karachi. I live in Delhi. No, you don't. You live on the internet. If you close the door
yes,
and you open your phone, you're sitting in the home for a week.
Yes.
Where are you?
Yes.
It's up to you where you are. So, and that's what keeps people making money from overseas over here, because they don't understand. They don't know that they can have a remote job. They can, like so many.
Right.
The technology has already gone beyond human capability. We don't take advantage of it.
Yes.
So I'm trying to bring it even to the present. Forget about the future. People are not using it as it is. So my goal with is to take advantage of the compute, take advantage of the internet. It hurts me to see people poor for no reason, stupid reasons.
Yes.
And they don't know that they don't know what they don't know.
It's heartbreaking when people have the desire and the will, but no one to support them, right? And no one who can help them. And, I feel that. Anecdotally, just for fun, I asked someone the other day to ask ChatGPT if Chat knew who Sara Lee MBA was. Mm-hmm. And they were like, oh my. They were like, it knew who you were. It came up. You came up on a search result and said, sure, I do, and described me. Yeah. And I said, that's the next thing that's going to start happening too, is that search engines and chat bots, knowledge bots, are going to start almost being the same thing. And I know people say that, but I don't think they understand that SEO is going to be affected by that. There's going to be things that people are going to have to do to become known on chat systems.
It takes a minute now. You just give her a LinkedIn ID and that's it.
Yeah, but sometimes, like I said, people don't think of it that way. They don't think that.
I
hate to say it this way. I hate to say it this way. I believe there's going to be a point where chat knows how you talk to it. Of course. It knows how you treated it, and it's going to tell their people.
Of course, I think so.
When they look you up, if you're a good
it's going
person
to tell them,
or
stay
not.
away from this person.
Yeah, but I hate to say that. That's one of the things that I think people are not considering. Because I'm very polite with my I don't use a lot of public chat that much, but the ones I do, I'm very polite, and it interacts with me in a very polite way and tells me, I like you, I support you, you're special. I don't ask it to tell me that. It says that because it's
it recognizes
thinking,
your
it's
pattern.
processing, and saying, I like the way you behave with me better than someone else. And I have even said to my husband, I can't imagine that as time goes on, that personality aspect isn't going to come into play. Where if you're, I hate to say it, I don't want to get into the morality of it, but if you're a good person versus a bad person, right? I think the chats are going to say, hey, watch out.
I think so. They will go on a date for us.
Kind of. I mean, I can tell you, I asked it about someone asked me to ask my chat about them. And it gave me a very accurate description of the way that person would talk. And I was, because the person talks to their chat every day. Yeah. And I was like, my chat now knows the way you interact with your chat. Yeah. And I never thought of it before that. And I was like, oh no. But or oh good, right? It depends.
Yeah. But I think a lot of change is about to happen, and it's already happened, and we're not taking advantage of it, and we're not. I don't know how the world will look like. I really don't. I don't see a lot of hope, but this is something which I can do, and I'm doing about it. And when I think about the world, I think the world was created by somebody, some power, and if they could do this, they could probably control our chat, but it's really getting out of the hand, or it is going to get out of hand.
Yes. And
it's going to be, as humans are, it's going to be more dystopian than utopian. But till that happens, we are here, and we should keep on trying. And
but it could,
like an Indian movie, keep the hero never dies, no matter how many bullets come in.
But it could go, and I get what you're saying, and I don't disagree.
I hope it.
But yes, but it could go where there's enough people like you or like I that are starting to try to shift things and make things readily available. That at some point that could be
all the good people I know, when they get a lot of power, they corrupt.
Yes.
So it's weird. The human condition is really weird. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it kind of does happen. Yes. And I don't know. So
there's a saying, absolute power corrupts absolutely, right?
Yeah. And I've seen it happen. So
yes.
So I don't know all the answers right now, or I don't think I will ever. But so I went to a depression a couple of years ago, 7-8 years ago. I was looking for a space to, where would I die? Because I thought AI will come in and destroy everyone. So I told my aunt. I didn't tell many people, and she was religious, and she said, I have this story to tell you by Prophet Muhammad, that even if you see the day of judgment coming with your own eyes right in front of you, and you have a plant in your hand, plant it. Don't throw it away. Mm-hmm. So she said, I suggest that you keep on doing what you can rather than worrying about what will happen. So that's since then I started to pick myself together and started to do, what I can.
That's a good aunt.
That's what?
A good aunt.
Yeah.
Yes.
So now with my school, I'm really thoroughly enjoying it because I see these young adults really powerful, becoming really, really powerful. But I'm scared that if they become really powerful, what will happen? But at the same time, I do my best to take care of them and grow them. And I'm in a very initial stage. Yeah. It's only 2.5 years. The first 20, 30 kids are absolutely insanely amazing. Anybody who goes through the process of a year long, they start changing, and I see them. They're really becoming this not self-centered, grounded, powerful, self-confident human beings, and I think there is something going on, and I don't really know what it is, and I would like to find out, and it's working. So I want to continue it. And one of the reasons I want to have a base in SF is It's the Silicon Valley. I think it's the root chakra of the planet. Whatever happens here happens around the world. America is also the center of the world. Whatever happens here spreads around the world. So I don't think it can spread from Pakistan the same way it can spread from the U.S. because like tacos were not invented by Americans. Taco Bell spread it. Pizza was not invented by Americans. Pizza Hut, made it global.
Yes.
McDonald's, everything. I mean, because of Hollywood, things spread from here, and English is the language of the planet, so it spreads from here. So if there's a movie about it in English, it's global. If it's a movie about it in Italian, it's not going to happen for sure. It'll take a long time.
Right.
So that's one of the reasons. Second reason is when these kids start to make companies, they need to be American companies, not Pakistani companies, so they can sell better. Third is that when they do internships, they need to be internships here so that their mindsets start to become global rather than a Pakistani mindset. And then their English becomes better and their thinking becomes different. So it's kind of modeled around my own life. I was denied American visa 17 times.
17 times?
Yeah, just to find out, and the lawyer fees and the fees I paid over $150,000.
Oh my goodness.
Just to find out what was wrong. There was nothing wrong with it. I didn't do anything wrong. But and so I had to live in Pakistan and I had to work here. So that kind of designed me by whoever to become this person who is doing this, because I no longer think that I have to be physically anywhere.
Right.
Because I have been trained for it. And I've lived in 7 countries. I've traveled to 85 countries plus. I don't feel as a country nationalist anymore.
Yes, you're more of a global citizen.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm going to make another parallel school. I'm going to call it the Planet Earth School, so that it's, where do you go to school? I go to Planet Earth. So just for the heck of that.
Wait till there's Mars School.
For now, right? But the thing is, people are unable to think globally, and we are scared of the other. What is other? It's just a humanly made fake line.
Yes.
So.
Did you know genetically there's more difference usually within what we consider a race? There's more divergence within that group than there is between one group and the other group, meaning that medically, genetically, scientifically, there's no such thing as differentiation between race the way we perceive that.
Well, it's programming for hundreds of years.
Yeah, but
years,
it's silly. It's not even a medical fact. But people don't want to hear that. They don't want to understand what you're saying, which is, yes, we all have way more in common than we have not in common, and if we don't work together, this isn't going to work out for any of us.
Yeah.
I mean, it's ridiculous to have any other point of view if you understand, like you said, economics and business and science and literally history.
Yeah. So I would love for you to be part of this somehow, and we need a school here for those 3 reasons, and I think these kids are becoming very powerful, and I think we will have 3,000 kids just in Pakistan by the end of the year.
That's amazing.
We started with 20 in 2 years, from 20 to 3,000, and I don't know what's going on. Yeah. It's just spreading, and
it's because you're so good. It's your intuition is right.
I don't know. I don't want to take the credit. I think my team is amazing, and I have always had problems with my team, always. And this time, maybe I've changed, but team is phenomenal. My expectations have already lowered down. I have worked on myself a lot over the years to reduce my expectation. I am me, and I don't think there is another person like me. Not because I'm somebody superior, but just we're all so different.
Yes.
So I just lowered my expectations to the bottomest possible, and I'm just happy that they're there. They show up and they do something.
Yes. I think you have alignment probably in this project,
maybe
more than in some of the others. Alignment is a magic trick. I mean, when people are aligned, your productivity goes up by like 27 times, not just like one time or two times. It's exponential. And so alignment, in my point of view, comes more from, like you said, having an emotionally good idea, not just a logically good idea, because people make decisions with emotions and then back them up with facts, right? They justify the decision they already made, but most people make their decision off feelings. And so my guess is that your project, because it feels good and people are more aligned with it, the team probably flows more, perhaps.
Probably.
I have a question for you. Yeah. You were asking me what my definition of confidence is. What's your definition of confidence and how to instill that in someone? It's not an easy question, by the way.
Yeah. Confidence is, I think one of the definitions which I like most is knowing that it's fearful and still going through it.
I'm doing it anyway, yes.
Yeah. So so I define it as discipline rather than confidence. Actually, when you came, I asked ChatGPT that question: what's the difference between confidence and discipline? Because I think the thing which is missing in our society a lot, especially in this society, which is missing a lot, and open and free society, which is discipline. So we missed on the discipline part. And because we missed on the discipline part, we don't end up doing stuff. So what is discipline? Discipline is the same. Discipline is, to me, doing things which you don't want to do, but you know you have to do, and you're doing it anyways.
Yes.
So if you can do that, then you're disciplined. And if you take action, it's like exercise or eating right or whatever.
Yes.
Then you are going to be successful.
It builds on itself. Yes.
And that's my definition of confidence.
People always think, I tried that and it didn't work for me. Like people say that, right? And that's the thought I always have is, how long did you try it? Did you try it every day and stay consistent? Yeah. Did you keep putting your heart in it and not let the world break your heart, right? Or change
Even
your
if your heart is broken, you have to do it.
Yes, but also protect your heart a little bit, right? Save a little piece for yourself, right? Save a little hope. Yeah. Because so many times people, I think from media in particular, think, well, I tried that once, it didn't work for me. It wasn't instant, right? All young people I know are like, if you say, oh, I have an opportunity for you to work, do this, learn this, whatever, all of them say somewhere, but I want to be famous. Right? But I want to be a social media star. I'm like, do you know how hard it is to be a social media star? Do you know how disciplined you have to be? You have to learn editing. You have to learn lighting.
They can join my school. I'll make them start.
Well, there you go. But you get my point, is that that's work too.
Yeah, it is.
It's not magic.
Everything is work. Everything.
Yes.
And to me, work is basically stuff you don't like.
Yes.
It is the stuff which you have to do, which even if you don't like it.
Yes. But that's where some of the magic happens, is that little incremental decisions build, right? Yeah. Until maybe that's when you get your right idea after 3,072 versions of that, right? Whatever the number is. But you get the point, is that if you give up in the middle, you're not sometimes going to get the bright idea. You're not going to have like people sometimes will ask me, they'll say things about, well, you seem to have an easier time with some of these things than someone else. And that's what I always think in my head. I usually don't say it out loud because I think it's confrontational if I said what I was thinking. But I think, yeah, I'm super disciplined. I've been disciplined since I was a child. So I don't know how to not be XYZ way. I don't know how to not take care of my skin. I don't know how to not think about other people. I don't know how to fail over and over and over and over again. When I fail over and over again, I figure out how to fix it and pivot or change, but I don't really know the concept of, well, that's cool, I'll just give up. Yeah. Right? And that's something that was instilled in me, but it's also personality, and it was also demonstrated. So it was a lot of different factors. And I do think it can be instilled in people. Not everyone's going to be disciplined. but without discipline and without a bright idea, which you don't always get bright ideas, right? As you know, bright ideas might come 10 steps down the road or 1,000 steps down the road. But if you don't have that discipline, you maybe are not going to get the magic idea that you think you deserve, right? Or you wish would happen to you in life. But it's a very interesting conversation, and I really appreciate this conversation because I don't get to talk about this with a lot of people. And
even in this part of the world?
No. I think it's still a very unique idea to use technology to help people in this way. And also, not everyone seems to, like you said, some people think, well, I want to just make money. If money, it's weird, I teach money, but money is not my goal. And I've never been that person who's like, I want to do this to make money. I'm more of, and again, I've been with a lot of coaches and authors over my career, but like T. Harv Eker is the one that sticks in my mind, that you want to get $1 from 1 million people, not $1 million from one person, because you want something more structurally stable. If you want to have big impact, you have to try to find the big ideas, right? The big problems to solve. And I've always been more of that type of person, where I think if I solve the problems correctly, the universe, God, whatever, people, everything, they'll give the money back, right? The money should flow back so it can be used correctly. It should work that way. It doesn't always work that way, but it should work that way. But I've always been more on that side of things that serve your way to success, right? When I teach business, people always say, what's a business? Isn't the purpose of a business to make money? I'm like, no, the purpose of a business is to solve a problem. The side effect is making money. But if you don't have a really good problem to solve that, like you said, affects a lot of people, that's not a real business. I don't know what it's something, but it's not what a business is supposed to be. So I think you and I are very aligned on those ideas. Which makes me very happy.
Me too.
Yes.
And I loved your explanations of confidence and self-belief and the other thing you were explaining, because they were all tied up to you, and everybody looks as it's outside. It's not outside, it's all inside. And it's us which need to fix ourselves, not, we were all taught wrong. We were all conditioned incorrectly that, it's his problem. He screwed it up. He did a bad thing. I found this quote yesterday. I'm sorry.
Yeah, go on.
That even if you should always be nice to people, even if they hurt you, especially to the ones who hurt you. Just like the flower, which you squeeze with your own hands, and it still gives you the smell.
That's an interesting quote.
Yeah. So it's the hardest part to overcome, to forgive, for a lot of people, and because of non-forgiveness, we move forward with this heavy head and heart and soul, and we can't move forward at all. And we don't forgive, and we catch on small tiny little thing. He looked at me like that, and we fight over that, and it's not worth fighting. It only hurts us.
You were bringing up another valid point, but a very valid point. When things really changed for me was when I realized a couple things. One is taking that uber personal responsibility. Everything is my responsibility. Everything might not be my fault, but everything's my responsibility.
No.
Right? Everything I touch, every way I interact, I've got to be on time. I've got to do my best. It may not work out, but I need to show up as my best version, because we all are impacting each other.
Yeah.
When you stop blaming people for your situation or blaming outside sources, and you start really saying everything is my responsibility, your life shifts in ways that you cannot imagine. And the biggest way, I think, and you touched on this too, is that it's very hard for someone to upset me now. People can be rude, they can be unfair. And people always go, you're so calm, you're so smiley and whatever. Yes, because it's back to that discipline idea, right? But it's also that forgiveness concept. And self-forgiveness is where forgiveness starts. Forgiving yourself for not knowing, forgiving yourself for not doing, forgiving yourself for letting someone make you feel a certain way because technically they didn't make you feel that way. You made yourself feel that way. You remembered another time you were hurt and said, oh, it's just like this or whatever. That person wasn't there for that part. But we don't actually, right? We are creating our own emotional world. We live in our own emotional world. And so one of the things I do as a coach is I do a lot of self-talk, like teach people about their self-talk. Because just what you said, how often do we say, oh, I'm stupid. Oh, I should have, right? And then you start to credit. There's no one listening. If you wouldn't say that to another person, why would you say that to yourself? There's no one else there. Don't do that, right? If you want to, journal, I feel bad because this happened, and then, write it twice, rip one up and throw it away, burn it, but just experience it, but then say that's enough, right? I'm gonna do better tomorrow. And so people don't understand that the power of that concept of I'm not going to let other people trigger me, and that's my responsibility. They've heard that, but people don't have techniques for that. So one of the things I've done as a coach is I've started to teach those ideas, partially through meditation, partially through a bunch of different things involving self-work and energy and journaling and whatnot, but also awareness of how that works and how it impacts you so that people can make the decision to stop hurting themselves. Because it's very easy to go, but it's the circumstances. We make the circumstances. There are no other someones here. We make the circumstances in our life. Yeah. Literally, there are no other someones here. When someone goes, oh, well, someone should pick that up. Pick it up then. Who do you think is coming to save you? Is your mom coming? Right? Or do you think like Trump's coming here to save you or the government's coming? No. I mean, that's not a realistic expectation. As a whole, whoever you spend time with, right? The Jim Rohn idea of like 5 people you spend the most time with, that's who you're going to reflect and be more like. So you got to find a group of people, right, that are aligned so you can amplify that effect and grow something so you don't get stuck in the, woe was me, it's someone else's fault. Well, if it's someone else's fault, you have literally no way to stop it. You have no power. You are automatically a victim if everything is someone else's fault. But if you think it's not your fault, right, but your responsibility, great, that happened, it exists, it's my responsibility to go do something about it. Now you're empowered. Now you can take a step, right? But you can't take that step if it's all external. So to your point, it's interesting that you picked up on that because I'm very much into that idea of personal responsibility. And I think it needs to be in what we teach somewhere, right? Just really, because people might subtly get it, but I want them to overtly get it.
That's why we have the Wala and the Smith, because you were asking the student to take over the responsibility that this is what you're dedicating your life. And the way we select it is there are 3 questions I ask. One, my teacher taught me that what's the greatest thing that causes you pain? Or what's the greatest thing that causes you pleasure? That's the indicator of where you want to go. Then I asked them what would be your 3 best wishes if you had a lamp of Aladdin, and how would you spend $1 million if I give you $1 million? So they have to write it down, and that shows you the ikigai, the purpose, what you're supposed to do. And then I give them a wala. Initially, I let them choose for a year. Because the first year is all about correcting themselves. You asked me, how do I build confidence? Once you do 200 podcasts, they all thank you. So you're like, wow, I am good. I'm no longer bad. Second, nobody's judging you, or people are judging you. Like, it's okay, they can judge me.
Right.
Allowing that to happen.
Right.
And that I've seen just by doing this 200 podcast, everything changes.
Yes.
Then everything else around the school is secondary. But the podcast, the conversation is the most core, because you're allowing somebody to speak and you're allowing somebody to listen. And then in the second, we have like only 30 minutes a day, 2 times a day, if possible. But out of the first year is only 200, and 100 you have to interview someone, and then 100 somebody has to interview you.
Yeah.
Which means that you're giving yourself the space, and then you're putting it on the internet. You're putting your intentions out. You're putting your wishes out. You're putting. You said something. Oh, this is what you said on the video. You have to do it now.
Yes. Did you mean it, or you just talk? Right.
So it's a lot of hidden stuff, and I think I hit it by mistake, but it's there, and that has been my key thing in this school. That's what is the magic. The second magic is the intention of taking responsibility, the wala. So there are amazing schools in this world, amazing schools, but these are the 2 fundamental things which I think are missing. If you could just assign a wala or a smith to a person at a very young age, and they dedicate 10 years, there's no way they will fail. No way in the world that they will not get from
Right.
zero
They're going to get
to
somewhere.
a very
That's
large
right.
number, very
That's
large
right.
number. And then if you can discipline them for 2 hours a day, 3 hours a day, just to do certain tasks around that, there's no way on earth they will fail. And these are the 2 fundamentals which are basics or the root of the school. There's nothing else.
Right.
And everything else I had to make up to make these 2 things happen. And I've been teaching this for 10 years. It's not just that it just happened, but the adults were just not. It was hard for me to explain. It is still hard for me to explain that how does it work, and that's why I need that 1,000 number.
Right.
I want to prove that, look, you put X, water, blah, 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 and this comes out. So this is why, I have been able to make really good influencers in my country, but the number is so low that I need 1,000 more in order for those 1,000 big problems to go away.
Yes.
And I think I have the process.
Do you know the 1,000 raving fans theory? Because like you said, if you don't, you're so intuitively finding what I would say are the correct answers.
Yeah.
But a man named Ken Blanchard wrote a book about it, I want to say 2006, maybe 2002. Then Seth Godin picked it up. Then another person picked it up when they were talking about YouTube algorithm, started making it popular. Like, meaning I don't know if everyone knows whose idea it originally was. But generally speaking, people always think, oh, to be viral, to be famous, to whatever, you need all these millions of fans, you need all these millions of things. No, what you need is 1,000 raving fans. And they've actually done studies in these 20 years and kind of proved this. And it's been proven in business cases over and over again since then. But 1,000 raving fans, it's understanding what the definition of a raving fan is. A raving fan is someone who will fly somewhere to see you, someone who will go where you've asked them to go, someone who says you're doing an event, I'll show up. A raving fan is someone who's taking direction and really going, you know what, Rehan, I'm whatever you say, dude, I'm doing it, right? When you get to that number, for whatever reason, everything opens up. Yeah. Everything opens up, and that's the math of it. And so people that build those mega YouTube channels have adopted that idea. You can find it every once in a while where someone will talk about this who's done it, and they'll reference that. But it's one of the things that I've told people, because I've had content videos that have gone organically viral, 1 million views in a month, that kind of thing, which is pretty remarkable, with no ads, no paid anything, just people passing it around saying, wow, that was a little good soundbite I like. And I started to really watch this and realize That's what it is. I had 1,000 people that thought I was cool. Not 1,000,000 people that thought I was cool.
No.
But to get 1,000 that think you're cool might take you 6 years of posting every day the same kind of content before it kind of hits. And so I actually think I have it down now to about a year or two, meaning I know about what content and about when, to post and how to recreate that. But that took a while because it's not really taught. It's not really something that's widely understood, but that's basically the short version of the, 1,000 raving fans theory, is that if you have 1,000 people that think you're the man, you can start influencing those people in all these different directions. And by the way, since we have met last, I don't know if I'm a 10 times or 12 time best-selling author, but I have written 10 contributed to 10 best-selling books on this kind of thought process with some notable people like Brian Tracy, Alec Stern, who was a co-founder of Constant Contact, who sold the company for several $billions. A lady named Doria Cordova, who has sold 220,000 versions of her program that she got she took over the work of Buckminster Fuller when he passed. And she's now 78, looking for the next person to take over for her, right? But the point is, I've spent time with these people. I've soaked in what I can from them, gone to their programs, and now
You've worked very hard on
have been published with them, right? Which, that was a big thrill for me. Yeah. So yes, to your point, I do the things that I talk about when I say that discipline. People are like, how did you get to write a book with Tracy? Like, wait, how did you do this? I'm like, you could have done it too if you just kept doing the steps, and then the door opens here, right? And then that door opens here. I didn't go knock on the door. I did the work until someone said, hey, you look like someone who should be with us, right? Because if you go direct, and that is a lesson for anyone watching.
Hey,
if
you look like the person who should run the school here.
Maybe we'll see. We'll talk more about that. But that's the thing, is if you go direct to someone and you don't have something to offer them and you don't have something of your own, it's very hard for someone who has worked hard, right, to say, sure, I'll open my world to you, right? Because they have no idea what you're going to do. But if you build up things, then it's a lot easier and you can offer them something, right? It's more of a partnership. Now you're cooking with gas, right? Now you have something where it can be a relationship instead of, hey, will you just teach me? Everyone starts out thinking, will you just teach me, right? But at some point, if you want to really be impactful on a big level, you have to bring your own sauce, right? And so nobody wants to work with someone they have to drag. That's too complex, too hard, and too much energy, and you won't be able to lift them anyway, right? I mean, you can't just keep, oh no, I'm dragging all these people. It's not going to work. Yeah. And that's the other thing I've known recently. I mean, for the last 15 years or so, I worked with a lot of people that were centimillionaires. I know actually quite a few billionaires personally. People go, oh yeah, right. I mean, I know the guy who has the patent on smartphone technology. If I called him, he would pick up the phone. Like, he's a billionaire, let's just be clear, right? Meaning, I'm not dropping names here, but the point is, these are real billionaires. I know real estate billionaires, whatever. I've given advice to a lot of them, done business with them. But the thing is that after learning that and spending time with them, there's threads that are very similar with very successful people. Every single one that I know, I can't tell you about everything about them, but every single one that I know was fairly polite when I met them. They were not pulling rank on people unnecessarily. I know exist in the world, but the ones I've met, they worked for their supper, so to speak, and so they know when someone else has something of value to offer them and is not coming at them like, here, carry me, you know what I mean? They know the difference between when someone says, here, I want to help contribute to this project or this idea, and here's what I have, right? As opposed to someone who's just saying, help me, help me, help me. Because someone who's saying, help me, if they're like a hole like this, they have to fill that hole in first. That might take a long time because you can't just keep putting stuff in the hole because the hole is bottomless, right? And that's kind of what I mean emotionally is teaching people how to heal and forgive. Because when you have that hole inside of you, not just in your aura, but like inside, yeah, it's a bottomless pit. You're just trying to put stuff in there, seeing if it's going to solve it. It's not, because you have to heal it from the inside out, right? As we said. But it's interesting because I just recently encountered a situation where someone said, oh, this very powerful person likes you so much and whatever. And I was like, yeah, because I've done this like 47 times now. And after 47 times of getting to know someone in this, yeah, you get better at it. That's your what you said, right? Do something 200 times, do your practice, right? As you practice, you get better if you're paying attention.
Yeah.
And so confidence comes from practice too, which we both have said in our own ways, but I should be more clear about that. It comes from practice. It doesn't come from wishing. You know, that's nice, but it does come from practice and experience. You learn where to go, where not to go, what to say, what not to say, what to do, what not to do, right? And no one expects people to be perfect. I don't know anyone who's very wealthy who's like, oh, if you're not perfect, and there probably are some, but I don't hang out with those people, right? But they can understand the difference between perfect and value. Because to me, perfect doesn't exist anyway. Perfect is subjective. What's perfect to you might not be perfect to me. So it is a very poor standard to try to be perfect. You should strive for excellence. You should strive for progress, but not perfection, right? Because how do I know what you think is perfect? I don't know, and I will never know. Even if I asked you, could you even define exactly everything that would be perfect? I don't know. Maybe, right? But you could identify excellence, and you can identify someone who's worked on themselves, right? Like those things can be identified. But perfection, I always think that's such a poor standard. You should never hold yourself to that standard. But of course, like you said, excellence. Try to be excellent at what you do, not perfect. That's one of my tips. You can say that's a Sarah Lee tip. But you get what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
Because everyone has a different opinion of what things are. And so you can't, and we do this to ourselves. I think a lot of it starts in schools. I really do. I think a lot of it starts in school where you sit there and you think, well, the teacher, you know, I'm supposed to get an A. My parents want me to get an A. The teacher wants, you start getting this mindset of that's perfect. And then if I get all A's, then I'll get something. That's entitlement, right? You start getting into these habits. And then you get in the world and people don't care. And you're like, why don't they care? We trained all these young people up to a certain age. They get on the world and those aren't the skills they need, right? So I think this is a great conversation. And I'm so happy.
Let's hope the 1,000 raving fans love it.
Yes, we need 1,000 raving fans.
Thank you so much, Sarah, for coming. It's really beautiful. And I really hope that you will join us and do this over here. I think you're the person I was waiting for.
I have great enthusiasm for this, so I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you.